Hi, I'm Steve from the Google Workspace Developers Relations team. In this video, I'm going to talk about and show you how to use the different types of credentials that you can use with the Google Chat API. There are two types of credentials you can use, user credentials and application credentials. User credentials are used when an application needs to act on behalf of a user, and this takes the form of an OAuth 2 access token. Application credentials are used when an application needs to act as itself. In this case, the application uses a service account identity to authenticate. Let's take a look at a few use cases for each of these. Most chatbots or apps use application credentials when calling the Chat API. For example, consider a chat app that sends a direct message to approve an expense report. The app uses the Spaces Messages Create method authenticated as itself. The resulting message the user sees is attributed to the app. Again, the application is acting as itself, as if it were any other user. In simple cases, an app might not need any credentials at all. Posting to a webhook doesn't require a separate authorization header, and simple apps that only respond synchronously to events also don't require them. The identity of the app is implied by the webhook URL or the project configuration where the endpoint is registered. While less common, apps can also act on behalf of a user. Some parts of the Chat API can only be called as a user. One of the methods that can only be called as a user is Spaces Setup. Users and organizations own chat spaces, and the call must be made using user credentials to establish ownership. For example, an incident management app like PagerDuty, once authorized by a user, creates spaces on behalf of that user whenever there's a new incident. The application automatically adds the correct stakeholders, manages the lifecycle of that space, and also injects itself as a bot in that space to give the members additional tools for communicating updates and resolving the issue. Some other methods in the API accept either user or application credentials. An application can create a message in a space either as itself or as a user. Creating a message as a user instead of an application is useful for interoperability, migration use cases, and it could also be useful for simple automations like a vacation autoresponder in chat. When an application creates a message using user credentials, the message is attributed to both the user and the application. Let's take a quick look at how these two credential types work in practice. Service accounts form the basis of app identity. While there are a variety of ways to authenticate a service account depending on where your code is running, the application default credential mechanism in Google's client libraries provides a portable way of accessing these credentials. Application default credentials are determined from the environment. The identity may be container managed when running on GCP, or from a downloaded private key file when running locally, or through workload identity federation if deployed on other platforms. See the links in the video description for more details on service accounts and how to correctly configure them for your use case. For end-user credentials, the Google Chat API uses the OAuth 2 protocol to obtain an access token that grants limited privileges to your app. The resulting token binds the user, your application, and a set of scopes that determine which operations are allowed. Obtaining that token requires prompting the user for consent. Applications can request either short-lived temporary access or long-lived persistent tokens that can be used indefinitely until revoked by a user. Because OAuth 2 is a standard, there are a variety of libraries and integrations available to facilitate this process, including some from Google. See the links in the description for more information about how to implement OAuth for your application. Once consent is obtained, pass the resulting access token as the authorization header, or by supplying a credential object when using the Google Chat API client libraries. For some enterprise use cases, obtaining individual user consent isn't feasible. As an alternative, admins can consent on behalf of all their users. This is often referred to in documentation as domain-wide delegation. Once admin consent is established, the application uses a hybrid approach. It uses its own service account credentials to request a temporary token for a target user. That token is then used the same as if it were from the user themselves. Hopefully you have a better sense of the different types of credentials that you can use with the Google Chat API and when to use them. Again, check out the links in the video description for a deeper dive into service accounts and OAuth 2. Please hit that like button if you've learned something new in this video, and remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos about Google Workspace development. Thanks.